Potatoes podcast. We are into September 2020, and today we are joined by Parker McDonough, who is the head of Seek Education. How are you, Parker?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So ordinarily we'd start with some questions about the company, what you're doing, why, but we're going to jump ahead and then circle back. So what is augmented reality?
Yeah, so I think augmented reality kind of got its start in its awareness with Pokemon Go. That was like the big jump to augmented reality. And that spread a lot of the knowledge of what it was. And then we've obviously seen big movements in the AR and VR space. So I think to start at a basic level, the difference of augmented reality and virtual reality is basically the devices that you use. So virtual reality puts you in a completely virtual world. And so your environment is completely virtual. And this is things with like the headsets and the Oculus lenses and the different goggles and things like that. Augmented reality is your own reality, your physical environment with added layers of digital technology placed on top of it. So it can be done with things like your tablet or your smartphone or your laptop. And so it's a lot of the difference between the devices that you use and the completely immersive or the mixed immersion with your virtual reality and the digital.
Okay. And so then normal reality is just normal reality.
Yeah, at least with 2020, we might think otherwise, but yeah, still normal reality.
Okay, so then that leads us to the question of what is Seek Education?
So Seek Education is an augmented reality platform. It's the first online AR platform for education. So the best way and the most simplest way to think about Seek Education is the Netflix of educational AR content. So this is where you would go if you want to see anything educational in augmented reality, whether that be the solar system or a dinosaur or parts of the body and anatomy. This is the one-stop shop platform to see all things in augmented reality in any part of education.
Okay, so for most people watching or listening, if they were going to learn about a dinosaur, they would look at a poster on the wall or something in a book, or maybe, like a toy dinosaur. So now, with what you're talking about, how does that experience differentiate?
Definitely. And that's kind of our value proposition is the ways that we've used visual aids in education have remained the same for decades. We've always had PowerPoints and we've always used images or textbooks. I mean, we've seen slight advances in education, at least in the ed tech space, with visual aids, but primarily they're still using the same visual aids that I used when I was in elementary school. And so we have advanced so much in technology in the past 10 to 15 years, but education just hasn't caught up yet. So we have the ability now to view a dinosaur that moves and that breathes and that walks and looks exactly like you would see in a movie, but in 3D in your space. So in your living room or in your classroom, a dinosaur can be walking across, and it just brings the learning to life and allows you to really imagine what it would be like to be there and to view or experience or see whatever it is instead of just looking at a 2D image or slideshow or video.
Cool. So this would require a phone or an iPad, some sort of tablet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why, in the past, at least, with augmented reality and virtual reality, especially, you've always needed these expensive and hard to scale devices, right? But everyone has a smartphone nowadays. A lot of people have tablets and everyone has laptops. So the devices we already have, and we just can now use them to view these things. And so it's a lot scalable. It's a lot cheaper. You don't have to buy anything. There's no software, no app. It's all right there just with your internet connection on the platform.
Gotcha. All right. So how does it ultimately improve the learning performance?
So one of the things to think about, obviously, is the classic cliche phrase of you learn by experience, right? There was a famous educator called Edgar, and he came up with what's called the Edgar cone of experience, and it's widely studied and known by a lot of educators across our country. And it explains that we remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, and 30% of what we see. But that number jumps to 90% once it's to an experience. Once you experience something or once you simulate an experience, that's when that retention rate jumps to 90%. And so obviously we've always tried to incorporate this into learning and education in general, as hands-on active learning is always better than just reading a textbook or seeing something. But now more than ever, it's really hard to get that hands-on active experience and learning, right? We're not in the classroom. We're not poking the marshmallows with the sticks or looking at the 3D skeleton or doing an experience in the science lab with beakers and flasks. It's all online, it's all virtual. And so that retention rate's staying right at about 30%, but we're not getting to that experiential level. And so that's what augmented reality does, and that's what Seek Education does, is allows you to experience exactly what you're learning about right after you learned about it. So you can walk through Stonehenge right after you read a book or read the PowerPoint slides on Stonehenge and experience and explore what it really feels like.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I purposely didn't do any of that because I wanted to actually have a kind of a conversation with you, but it does look interesting, and I will, I think you have a free demo button I saw. Because yeah, you're right. I think for a lot of things you're fine just reading about it, but if you're getting your knee surgically repaired, you would hope that the doctor had worked on cadavers before and had some experience. And there's a lot of professions like that. And I think most people would agree that once you've kind of done it, it does seep in to the brain a little bit more. All right, so all sounds pretty cool. And this is a spin out, right, of Seek.
Yeah, exactly.
Explain that a little bit.
Seek is the leading augmented reality company for e-commerce. So they do a lot of things 3D and augmented reality for huge companies like Nestle, Lego, Vans, Overstock. And their whole idea is to be able to take any 3D asset, and our kind of catchphrase is unlock 3D. So they unlock that 3D asset, and now you can put it into AR, you can put it into VR, you can allow it to go on Snapchat filters and so many other aspects, but they allow you to visualize your product in your space from wherever you are. If you want to buy a new couch and you want to see how it looks with the rug and the wall color, you can now put that couch right in your living room. And so that was their idea. So they developed this technology to take any 3D asset and convert it into augmented reality. And then when we've created this technology, we thought this should be used in education. There's lots of 3D companies out there for education. You can go explore different things in 3D, but there's no AR companies that are completely online and web-based like we are. So we thought, we have the technology. It's a pretty streamlined and easy transition. Let's go find all the best 3D models out there and convert them into AR. And so that's kind of how it was a spinoff. It's basically just another product offering of Seek. It's an educational wing that just kind of expands the industry and the scope of Seek as a company as a whole.
Yeah, it's nice when there's obvious and nicely fitted spinouts in the markets. So good job identifying that. So it sounds like it's a fairly versatile tool. So who are the end consumers, who are the customers, and who pays for the service ultimately?
We have 3 primary plans for Seek Education. We target to the individual, so that's parents and students themselves. I think parents right now, more than anyone, are concerned about the instruction and the quality that their children are receiving through these virtual remote learning times. And so parents are one of our core customers, and they can purchase their $3.99 monthly plan. That's $3.99, just to clarify. And it's a subscription, just like a Netflix subscription, to have complete access to all the models. We also target to teachers. We know that teachers are trying to find resources right now and figure out how to engage their students. They could probably tell that the Zoom calls are pretty difficult, especially at a younger age. And so we have a teacher plan that's $20 a month for their entire classroom. And then also we target the schools and the district level And those are obviously custom quotes depending on the amount of students, but those are kind of our three core categories in consumers.
Gotcha. So putting you on the spot here, see how well the company you're building and stuff. So a 5-year-old girl, how many product offerings or things that she would find interesting are currently available?
So we have the models on our platform are categorized in many different ways. Obviously, we have by subject, so you can go through all the subjects of anatomy, astronomy, science, chemistry. And then we also have by grade level. And so right now we're building out the platform to include the different sections of school. So she would fall into either that pre-K kindergarten or that elementary. And then obviously we have middle school, high school, and university level. And so within each of those categories, we have several hundreds of models for each targeted specifically to those, each individuals, and then also in each individual category.
Oh, cool. So how long have you guys been working on Seek Education?
So Seek Education started last September, October, late September, early October. I was a senior at BYU in the finance program and decided that that's not the path I wanted to go down. And I saw on LinkedIn some really cool Seek stuff about 3D and AR with some Nike shoes is what caught my attention. So I reached out over LinkedIn to the founders over here at Seek and said, hey, I'm looking to make the transition into tech. I love it. I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. Do you guys have any opportunities? And they said, no, look, we don't right now, not in the finance area. A couple days later, they told me to come back in just for an interview, just to see what I had to offer. And after the interview, from going in knowing nothing about augmented reality, I came out being asked if I wanted to lead a new project offering and launch Seek Education. So they had the idea for Seek Education. They just didn't have the bandwidth at the time. We were a smaller team, maybe 15 employees back then. And so they were obviously working with these huge companies and busy with Lego and Nestle and didn't have the bandwidth to dedicate to another whole industry. And so they brought me on, and since late September, early October, we've been working and developing and building out this product. And we kind of soft launched right at the start of the whole coronavirus outbreak in late March. And so it was a tough soft launch, but then we kind of launched again mid-summer, and that's where we really saw to see the engagement and the demand increase. And so the last 3 to 4 months has really been when we've turned on the revenue, when we've turned on the platform as a whole.
Wow. So there's good timing in several instances in that story. Kudos to you for shaking the tree and finding an opportunity there. And then, yeah, it's I guess it's better to be lucky than good a lot in life. And for what you guys are offering, you're kind of in a target-rich environment. A lot of frustrated teachers, school districts, and parents. And you have something that is helpful. So that's pretty good timing there. So the time, you rolled out in March and then again in the summer. So now schools are back in session for the most part. What are the early data points that you're seeing now that fall has started?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we know that some schools have tried to open back up, some have opened and closed, others never have even fully opened. I know in Utah, at least here in the Valley, a lot of the schools are trying a hybrid approach and kind of doing a couple days on, a couple days off. A lot of schools all over the nation. I think the latest New York Times study that I read said 6 out of 7 students still haven't gone back to school. So we're primarily remote, and I think that that's going to continue for who knows how long. We hope not too long, but it could continue. And so we believe that in the classroom or out of the classroom, this is still an incredible resource. Obviously, teachers are scrambling right now just to keep their head above water, but that's the beauty of this is it's not only something that's for remote learning, it's not only something that can be used in the classroom. All you need is a device and it can be used anywhere. So even in the hybrid approaches, it works perfect. So yeah, timelines on school and kind of what we've seen is a lot of tech kind of coaches are the ones we work with a lot of the times to implement this large scale at their school, and they're thinking, look, we really need this. A lot of our students, we've given them the iPads or we've given them the devices because we have to, but implementing another software right now is just not in the works for us. We're just really struggling. And that's the beauty of this is the extent of implementation of Seek Education in our platform is literally copying a QR code and pasting it onto your curriculum. So Seek Education is not a curriculum in itself. We don't take the spot of teachers. We don't try to become a homeschooling course. We just are an additional, instead of a visual aid, we're an experiential aid. So you copy the QR code or send out the link, the students click on it, and right then, without downloading anything, without any software, they view the AR right in their space. And so that's kind of the beauty of it is no matter where we go in the next couple months, it doesn't extremely matter to Seek Education at least, because you can access it so seamlessly and put it into your learning management system or put it into your handouts or your emails, just copy and scan that QR code.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats on making it easy and ubiquitous. That's great. And there's probably a bunch of adults who need to go back to, well, me, I probably should start at kindergarten again and go through all of that. I'm sure that that's actually kind of a fun exercise and might help with the homework where parents actually don't know the answer. So
yeah, I mean, just in obviously finding and making and creating a lot of these AR assets, I've just come across so much that I never learned in school or wish I would have. I mean, I learned about ancient Egypt, but now I feel like I'm a walking encyclopedia on the ancient temples and ruins. And it's just because of how much more immersive and interactive the learning is.
yeah, that's great. And if you forget something, you can always just go back and find it. You don't have to go get the book again or something like that. That's great. So you're fairly young to be running, a business, whether it's a spinoff or an independent business. So what are some of the things you thought you knew about kind of leading a team and building a product? And what do you know you were wrong about?
Yeah, there's been a huge learning curve for sure. Since day one, they basically said, look, you are the mini CEO of Seek Education. You make all the decisions and we're just here as a support. And so it's obviously kind of an ideal situation. It's a startup within a startup. So that's been nice. I think the hardest part of being a young entrepreneur and coming, like I mentioned earlier, from a business background is working with the engineers and the tech side of things to make sure that your guys' collaboration and voices are all met. Obviously, as kind of the product owner or product manager of this, I know what the customers want. I'm talking with them. I'm running user studies, and then I have to go relay that information to the engineers, right? And so I think that's been a huge learning point is just learning from them, trying to work together as a team and understanding that with the experience that I have, albeit little, there's a lot of smarter people out there and learning from them and hearing their opinions, no matter what part, design, marketing, engineering, sales. And I think that's kind of been a huge experience gainer and learning for me has been able to work with so many departments at such a young age.
Yeah. Yeah, you're drinking from a fire hydrant, but you're also way lucky to be drinking from that fire hydrant because win or lose, you're going to learn a ton and it's going to be compounded. So what are your plans and what are the plans for Seek Education over the next 3 to 6 months? How are you going to keep building out your team and your product and your revenue?
So one thing that we're doing right now, we just launched a new feature because of the circumstances and how much teachers have on their plate and parents. Obviously, a lot of these parents that are becoming their primary educator of their students now, they have jobs and some of them are both working and so they don't have time to be the 100% teacher all the time. And so we understand that. So we've tried to make our platform even easier. One of the things we just launched is what's called a virtual field trip. Everything right now has been closed down, museums, libraries, a lot of our trips were canceled. And so we haven't been able to go out and see things. Obviously, there's not going to be any field trips, at least for the rest of this year in school. And so we've created what's called this virtual field trip where we categorize a subject. So for example, one of them that we have is ancient Egypt. Another one that we have is the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And so we have these virtual field trips where we provided all the information, the text, and the basic facts, and you just scroll through and scan the QR codes, and then you're in Stonehenge, and then the next one you're walking across the Great Wall of China, and then the next one you're looking at the pyramids. And so that way the teachers don't even have to go to the extent of copying and pasting QR codes. They literally just click and scan and send this PowerPoint or this field trip off to their students. And so that's where I see it really taking off in the next 3 to 6 months, is allowing students to continue to explore, to continue to get that experiential learning environment while being in their living room on their laptop.
Yeah, great. Very cool. Sounds like quite the adventure, and I'm going to look forward to seeing how it works in person after this. So if people want to find everything that we've been talking about, where can they go?
The best way to go about it is going to our website. So our website is education.seekxr.com. Another way is just seek.education in the search bar. That'll pull us up as well. So that's education.seekxr.com. And that's our marketing website that has all the information and the fun facts, and a try now page where you can see 20 of our models and try them out yourself. And then obviously we have a 7-day free trial for everyone to try it out before they jump into any other subscription. We all have enough of those, so we understand that that it's a good point to try it out.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Again, Parker McDonough, the head of Seek Education. This has been great, and congrats on hitting the timing right and building something that's useful.
Of course, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a great time.
Well, thanks.